Hey guys, it's Brian again from LakeHickoryScuba and Marina. In today's video discussion, we're going to talk about how to select a dive instructor. Okay, and you see a lot of times different shops will use different agencies or they'll train through different agencies, and the question always comes up, well, who should I get certified through? PADI, SSI, NAUI, PDIC, SEI, ERDI. There's a boatload of training agencies, and everybody wants to know, well, who's the best of the best? Who should I get certified by? And the question that you should really be asking is, who should be your dive instructor? And that's what this discussion is going to be about, is how do you ask questions, or what questions do you ask a potential dive instructor who may be teaching one of your future courses. Now, these questions can be applied to the open water course, they can be applied to advanced and rescue courses or specialty courses, and it can go all the way up the line to your instructor level and even tech level courses. Some of the questions that we're not going to ask, of course, are, well, how long does the class take? What gear should I buy? Stuff like that. We're not even going to get into that. These are just interview type questions that you should be asking any potential instructor that you look for as far as training you. So we're going to start with one of the ones that I feel is very important, is how long have you been diving? Okay? And there's a lot of good instructors out there who are good on one half of the spectrum, but they're not so good on the other spectrum, meaning they're great instructors as far as teaching. They can relay information during the academic portion, but when it comes to the actual diving side, they've only met what the IE, when they went to IE, what their minimum requirements were to pass. So as far as how long that dive instructor's been diving, that's going to go to show you or to give you quite a bit of information about that instructor himself. Unfortunately, we have what's called zero to hero courses, where somebody goes from a non-diver to an instructor in 6 months or less. And they're able to do that because of the academic portion, and maybe they are very good. They do have good watermanship skills, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are a good, solid diver. That also doesn't mean that they can handle a lot of different problem situations out there. That just means that they were able to pick up the academics, they were able to pick up the skills, and they advanced through the course fairly quickly. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. They just may not have the skills that a good seasoned instructor may have. So that's a good question to ask. How long have you been diving? Another question that kind of relays into that I would ask any potential instructor is, where have you done most of your diving? Okay? And there's nothing wrong with the instructor that says, well, you know, for the last 10 years I've been down here in the Caribbean, that's where I've always taught. There's nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong with the instructor who says, well, I spend every week in the quarry or in the lake or this cold, dark environment, or I only dive in caves. There's nothing wrong with that type of instructor neither, but what you should concern yourself with is when you ask that question, where have you done most of your diving, what do you as the student plan on doing as far as your dives? What are your goals? And you need to kind of tailor or make sure that your instructor can tailor his teaching ability to the environment that you plan on diving in a lot. If you only want to plan diving in the Caribbean, then the instructor who only teaches in quarries and lakes all the time may not be best suited. He may be a great instructor, he can teach you the academics, he can teach you the skills, but if he can't teach you some of the stuff that you'll need to know in the ocean, then I would kind of pick the diver or the instructor who always teaches in the ocean for that. If you want to be the type of diver who dives in all types of environment, then your quarry diver or your quarry instructors or lake instructors may be good in that sense. But that's another good question to ask. Where have you done the majority of your diving at? Another good question to ask is, can I see a copy of the training standards? There's a lot of instructors out there that have this mentality, no, you cannot. That's only for us to see. It's for our eyes only. And quite frankly, if one of my instructors personally in the past would have told me that, I would have said, nice knowing you, and I would have got out of there. Any instructor who fails to show you a copy of the training standards usually has something to hide. So ask them if you can see a copy of the training standards that they're going to learn by. Okay, quality assurance or quality control at all these different training agencies keep us instructors in line, and we have to follow those standards. Those standards are there for a reason. And if we don't show those standards to students, then that's the possibility that that particular instructor is trying to hide something from that student, or he's trying to hide the fact that he's not following standards to a T. So I would always ask to see a copy of the training standards. Another question that I've actually heard in the past that not a lot of people talk about is, hey, can I audit one of your classes? Can I come sit in, say during a 20 or 30 minute lecture that you do during class, and can I audit the class to see what's involved prior to actually taking the class? Now this is kind of a twofold question. Some instructors don't have a problem with that, some instructors do. One thing that you have to understand, in diving, for us instructors, this is a business. And our time and the information that we give you is what actually costs you that money. So a lot of instructors are very reluctant to let somebody come into class, audit that class without getting compensation for that. Then you have other instructors. I'm part of the other instructors. I would actually encourage you to come sit in during a classroom training class and see what is all involved, some of the topics that we'll discuss. Now, of course, if you was to ask me, yeah, you're more than welcome to sit on my class. I'm not going to administer a test to you. I'm not going to teach you any skills or anything like that until we're actually in that instructor-student role, meaning you've actually paid for the course. But I would encourage you to ask that potential instructor, can I audit a class to see what it's all about? Another great question is can I have a private course? Now, some instructors will allow private courses, but they charge extra money for it. Some do not. Some instructors only will teach private courses, and then some will only teach once they have a minimum number of students signed up for a class. But that's another good question to ask is, do you teach private courses, or can I take a private course from you? Usually your private courses are a little bit more in depth. It's one-on-one, you and the instructor. You don't have other students in the class that may learn faster or slower than you, so you can really get a better experience on a one-on-one private course. But that's another great question to ask that instructor. The last thing that I would do is check other references, and you don't necessarily have to ask that instructor, well, give me some of your references, because of course he's probably going to always give you the references that are good for him. But ask other local divers in the area, what do you think about this particular instructor? What do you think about this one? And check the whole area. Just don't check one group of divers, because one group of divers may be more fond to one instructor. So check and do your own research for you as far as you trying to pick the best instructor that fits your needs. So guys, these are just a couple questions that I encourage people to ask instructors in our area, including myself. I've had people come up to interview me and decided that I wasn't the best suited for them, and that's okay. But these are just some of the questions that you should think about before picking an instructor or paying an instructor to teach your course. So guys, that'll end it for this video discussion. As always, make sure you follow us on Twitter, you like us on Facebook, pin us on pictures, subscribe to us here on YouTube, and as always guys, we appreciate your business.